There's a dog in an apartment right now, lying on the floor, staring at the door. It's been there for 3 hours. It will be there for another 5. This is not a sad story. This is not an abused animal. This dog has food, water, a soft bed, toys it doesn't play with anymore, an owner who loves it. And yet, if you could ask this dog one question, not, are you fed? Not, are you safe? But, is this the life you would choose? What would it say? We don't know. We can't know. The hard problem of consciousness again. The inner experience locked behind eyes we can't see through. But here's what we do know. We have never asked. We built an entire relationship with another species, one we call family, one we say we love, and we built the entire thing on an assumption that safety is the same as happiness, that comfort is the same as fulfillment, that because they wag their tails when we come home, the arrangement must be working. But what if the tail wag isn't joy? What if it's relief? Relief that for the next few hours the waiting stops. Here's the deal we made with dogs. We give them food, shelter, medical care, protection from predators, from weather, from starvation. We give them certainty. In exchange, we take almost everything else. Freedom of movement, the ability to make choices, the right to decide where to go, when to eat, who to interact with, whether to stay or leave. A wild wolf travels up to 30 miles in a single day. A domestic dog, its direct descendant, spends most of its life inside the same few hundred square feet. The wolf chooses its pack. The dog is assigned one. The wolf decides when to rest, when to hunt, when to play. The dog waits to be walked. We call this a good deal. The dog is safe. The dog is loved. But imagine someone offered you the same arrangement. You will never be hungry again. You will never be cold. You will have a warm place to sleep. In exchange, you will never leave this house without permission. You will eat when I say. You will go outside when I decide. You will interact with who I allow. You will never make another meaningful choice about your own existence for the rest of your life. Is that a good life? Or just a comfortable prison? The uncomfortable thing about this question is that we don't ask it, not because we're cruel, because we're afraid of the answer, and because we've built an entire emotional narrative. They love us, they're happy, look at the tail wag. That makes it easier not to look too closely at what we've actually done. The average dog in America spends 8 to 10 hours alone every weekday. That's not an exaggeration. That's the statistical norm. 8 to 10 hours in a house with nothing to do. Dogs are not designed for this. A dog's brain evolved for a world of constant stimulus, sense, movement, social interaction, problem solving. The average wild canid spends its day tracking, hunting, navigating, cooperating, competing. His brain is working every hour. The average domestic dog spends its day waiting for you to come home. Do you know what happens to a brain that is designed for constant input when that input is removed? It doesn't rest. It doesn't relax. It doesn't just chill. It deteriorates. Veterinary behaviorists have documented the same patterns across millions of dogs. Destructive chewing, excessive barking, pacing, tail chasing, licking themselves raw. These are not personality quirks. They are not bad dogs. They are symptoms. In zoo animals, these same behaviors, stereotypic pacing, self-mutilation, repetitive motion, are considered clear indicators of poor welfare. Zookeepers see a tiger pacing the same 3 steps over and over, and they intervene. They know something is wrong. A dog spins in circles for 20 minutes and we film it for TikTok. The behavior is the same. The recognition is not. Cats are not exempt. An indoor cat's natural territory, if it were feral, ranges from 40 to 200 acres. The average apartment is 900 square feet. That's not a reduction. That's a collapse. We give them toys. We give them scratching posts. We give them windows to look out of. And they still overgroom. They still spray. They still develop cystitis from stress, urinary blockages with no physical cause, behavioral problems that veterinarians increasingly recognize as expressions of chronic environmental deprivation. We call it being a pet owner. From the animal's perspective, it might just be a very long day with no end in sight. Here's the part that's hardest to sit with. We didn't just create an environment that doesn't match their needs. We created animals whose bodies don't work. The modern pug cannot breathe properly. Its skull has been bred so flat that its airways are permanently obstructed. Every breath requires effort. Every moment of its life is lived with the equivalent of a stuffed nose you can never clear. This is not a defect. This is the breed standard. The German Shepherd walks on hind legs engineered at an angle that guarantees hip dysplasia. By age 8, over 80% show signs of the condition: chronic pain, difficulty walking, a body betraying itself. The Cavalier King Charles Spaniel has a skull too small for its brain. The condition, syringomyelia, causes headaches so severe that dogs scream when you touch their neck. Up to 70% of the breed is affected. The dachshund's elongated spine means 1 in 4 will suffer from intervertebral disc disease, paralysis, surgery. A life spent in a body that cannot support its own shape. And we keep breeding them. We know what we're doing. The veterinary research has been published for decades. The breed clubs know. The kennel clubs know. The owners who buy these dogs, most of them know at least vaguely that pugs have breathing problems, that big dogs get hip issues. But they're so cute. That sentence has done more damage to animal welfare than almost any other I can think of. We took a species, the wolf, and over thousands of generations we reshaped it into hundreds of forms, some beautiful, some functional, some so physically compromised that existence itself is a medical condition. And we did it because we wanted them to look a certain way, not because it was good for them, because it pleased us. That's not love. That's a design project that went too far. Separation anxiety affects somewhere between 14 and 20% of dogs. That's the official estimate. The real number is probably higher, because mild cases are written off as, "he just misses me," and moderate cases are managed with training that suppresses the symptoms without addressing the cause. A dog with separation anxiety experiences something very close to a panic attack every time you leave. Cortisol spikes, heart rate elevates, some dogs stop eating, some destroy things, some shut down completely. This is not missing you the way you miss a friend. This is a physiological stress response to abandonment, and we created the conditions that cause it. Wolves don't get separation anxiety. They live in packs. The pack is always present. The evolutionary blueprint assumes you are never alone. We took that blueprint. We brought the animal into our homes. We made it love us, because we bred it to love us. Selected over thousands of generations for the trait of bonding with humans, and then we leave for 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes longer. The dog has no way to understand this. It doesn't know you're coming back. It doesn't know what a job is. It just knows that the person it is biologically programmed to stay close to has vanished, and the house is empty and something is wrong and the minutes are very long. We come home. The dog greets us frantically. We interpret this as love, and it is love, but it's also desperation, relief that the waiting is over, the reassurance that you haven't left forever. How many times can an animal go through that cycle before it changes something fundamental in its brain? We don't know. The research on long-term psychological effects of chronic isolation in dogs is thin, not because the question isn't important, because it's uncomfortable to study, because what if the answer is quite a lot? Learned helplessness is a phenomenon first documented by psychologist Martin Seligman in the 1960s. Dogs were exposed to an unpleasant stimulus they could not escape. Later, when given the opportunity to escape, they didn't try. They had learned that their actions didn't matter, that nothing they did would change the outcome. They lay down. They accepted the situation. They stopped trying. The experiment was cruel. It is also, in a quieter and more drawn-out way, something many pet owners recreate without meaning to. A dog that is never given choices stops trying to make them. A dog that is always told what to do and where to go and when to eat and who to interact with eventually stops expressing preferences. This looks like a well-behaved pet. Calm, obedient, easy. It might also be an animal that has given up. The problem with asking whether pets are happy is that happiness is the wrong question. Happiness is a moment, a treat, a walk, a belly rub. You can make a dog happy in 30 seconds, but a life is not made of treats. A life is made of choices, of agency, of the ability to move through the world and make decisions that matter. We took those things away. We engineered their emotional dependency. We built a relationship with a built-in ending, a trust so complete it cannot protect itself. We did it with good intentions. We did it because we love them. But the fact that our intentions are good doesn't change what the animal experiences. And it leads us, inevitably, to the final room. The vet clinic is one of the most physiologically terrifying environments an animal will ever enter. The smells alone, hundreds of animals, hundreds of fear responses, cortisol, adrenaline, stress hormones embedded in every surface. Their nose reads the room before they've crossed the threshold. And then comes the last visit, the one you've spent 15 years dreading, the day you have to choose euthanasia. From the Greek good, thanatos, death, a good death. And here's where the dark side of this contract becomes something else entirely. Because in that room, your pet is not afraid of dying. They don't know what dying is. They don't have a concept of non-existence. What they know is you're there. Your hands are on them. Your smell is close. The one constant of their entire life. There's a detail from end-of-life veterinary research that doesn't get talked about much. In the final seconds of the euthanasia process, as other systems slow, the olfactory system is often the last to go. The nose keeps working. After the eyes lose focus, after the body stills, the nose keeps pulling in air. And in those final seconds, what veterinary researchers have documented is that animals in the presence of their person stop scanning the room. They stop processing the fear scent of the clinic. They stop reading the environment. The last thing the nose searches for is the person it has always been looking for. They find it, and then they stop. A dog named Koda, 12 years old, a golden retriever. His owner, a man named James, had driven 3 hours to be there. Koda hadn't eaten in 4 days. His back legs had stopped working 2 weeks before. James lay down on the floor beside him, his face against Koda's face. The vet said, "Take as long as you need." Koda's nose moved once. James's smell found, still here. And then he was still. James said afterward, "He didn't go toward death. He went toward me." That's what the dark side of having a pet actually is. It's not the boredom, the lack of choices, or the engineered dependency. It's that despite the immense asymmetry of the contract we forced them into, the life they never got to choose, the bond became completely, unequivocally real. They didn't have a word for unfair. They didn't lie awake thinking about freedom. They just looked at the world, found us, and decided we were enough.